Hi there. So I've spoken a bit about this before, but I just wanted to speak a bit more on this off the back of what I heard another reader say, a woman that I've been following for a while. She said that she'd read somewhere about that someone saying about your twin jumping from person to person, or your twin flame jumping from person to person, and then she remarked that that to view it that way is somewhat dangerous or can get you like off your path. And I wanted to sort of talk a bit on that because I don't fully agree with what she said. And it's not actually my experience either to say that, like, I have had the experience of it jumping from person to person to some degree. I think it's hard to talk about this without sounding like super confusing. Because in a sense, there is only one twin. But I think people can get quite attached to John or Jane or whatever as that person is my twin. And I think that is just as dangerous isn't really the word, but is just as problematic maybe as seeing it as jumping from person to person. And my experience isn't so much that it's jumped from person to person, and more I've witnessed a fractalization of the self. And I think we can experience this, or like I said, this is my experience, that when we are fragmented and we are not in our integrated state, I think we can also experience our other in a disintegrated state, or experience quote unquote different bodies, or experience our twin connection through different bodies. I don't think it's so much that it's jumping from body to body. And I sort of feel like I feel like so this reader had commented on someone else's comment, and I feel like the person that commented about jumping from person to person, I sort of half agree with her and I half agree with what this reader said, because ultimately you do only have one twin, but it's not the way that we think of it, as it's your connection to source, it's your connection to your inner masculine and or your inner feminine, which is then projected out from you. And it's not so much that you experience that energy jumping from person to person. It's more, I think, two things. As you refine yourself, you see the external refine, and you'll be shown who mirrors you in that present. As you get towards the ultimate divine mirror, you will just a minute. You draw into you whoever is a mirror to your present state. So that can seem like it's jumping from person to person because you're pulling in this person, and then you're evolving and refining yourself and integrating yourself a bit more, and it's coming through this person. But it's all sort of leading to the same end point. And I think as you become more whole, you see the mirror in the other become more whole. Or the reflection of the other become more whole. And I think it's kind of like, I love a good metaphor. So I was thinking about this last night after I heard her say this. And it's almost like my experience has been, like if you think of a pizza, it's like I've been experiencing slices of the pizza, or gradually like a quarter of the pizza or a half of the pizza, but ultimately these slices are all the same pizza. They all come from the same whole pizza, but I've been experiencing them in sections of the pizza, or experiencing like half of the pizza by the time I have come into half of my wholeness, if that makes sense. So I think this is what I didn't see the comment that the reader was then discussing. But I think I can imagine that this is what the person was experiencing, where oh, excuse me, where her, like, it's not so much that it's coming through different people, like it is, like in a way it's so like complicated to talk about, because the people that have come to me have had different names, but I've experienced them as the same soul. Sorry, it's like windy here again. I always manage to find like windy spots. But yeah, like I've experienced them as the same one, but like different fragments of the same one. And I think that's what can happen for some people on this journey, before they're whole within themselves. Like, and then what happens, like I did a video a while ago about the many into the one, and what happens is that these expressions gradually like collapse into or merge into the one container and become expressions of the one person rather than individual people, if that makes sense. So I think that's, like, I think people can get very attached to John or Jane as my twin, and until they are whole within themselves and like higher self embodied, that can be like attachment to this one person, and you're actually, and it can actually like restrict the magic of this journey, because it's you that you're connected with at the end of the day. It's like, it's not John that's your twin or Jane that's your twin, it's you that's your twin, and it's you that's experiencing that divine connection being mirrored back to you in different vessels. So yeah, like I think you can experience it through different bodies, or that's been my experience. And maybe that's, like, this reader was coming from a different place because maybe she hasn't had that experience. Maybe she is already at that point, or has always been at that point of embodiment to experience it only through the one person. But I think that can be restrictive, and it can be a form of attachment. And I think when we are attached to one person, like John or Jane being our twin, that's actually what keeps us in 3D, because we're attached to this one person as being our divine counterpart. But when you are in that inner union with yourself, and you're in inner twin flame union, you see that reflected all around you in people, and you experience that level of that depth of connection with several different people, or at a certain point in the journey you do. Like I said, I think that does all sort of collapse into the one container ultimately, and there is one body that houses all the sort of divine expressions of your masculine. But when we're, I don't know if you want to say when we're in like a lower dimension or what it is, but or in a less integrated state, or you can experience, in my personal experience, you can experience that connection come through quote unquote different bodies and different names. But my experience has been that they've all felt like the same person. So like, I hope I'm not confusing you too much here. But yeah, it's like I've recognised them all as the same pizza. Like I said, it's like it still is the one twin flame that I'm connecting with, but I've experienced it through different names, like different quote unquote different people have come to me, but I feel like ultimately they're all aspects or expressions of the same one, who is the ultimate twin flame, who is the ultimate twin counterpart body. But I think it's restrictive and it's limiting to say there is only one twin flame in terms of attaching it to one body. And I feel like that's what this reader was sort of advocating for, that it's only one body. And yeah, like I feel like that's where I disagree with her, that maybe she hasn't like evolved to that point yet of realizing that it's not just John or Jane. Maybe she still thinks like she's still attached to one person being her twin. But I think it's more one energy that's your twin that is then grounded into one body. All the fragments are grounded into one body as you unify yourself. It's like as the fragments of self come together, the fragments of the other come together and distill into this one body. But before you get to that point, like I can't speak for everyone, but I think some people, and my experience has been that I've experienced the slices of the pizza that have come to me as apparent different people, but I think they've more been expressions of the ultimate one, and been sort of fragments of the one, or the one at different frequencies or different levels of embodiment, or mirroring different, like I think that can happen as well sometimes, like we pull in certain aspects because we're supposed to do a bit of a dance with that aspect, and there's something that particular aspect of the one has to teach you, or like some lesson that you're supposed to learn from them, or and that sort of is what comes forward to the forefront before the whole. But yeah, I don't want to ramble on for forever, but it sort of bothered me a little when I heard her say that it's dangerous or whatever to think that there's more than one twin, because I was like, I don't fully agree with that. Like I feel like anyone, like I don't know, I feel like anyone that sounds like they speak the absolute truth, especially on this journey, you should be cautious of, because it's kind of hard to really establish what is the absolute truth in this journey, because it's very complex and confusing at times, and like I don't know that unless you've become freaking Jesus or Mary, or that you're Krishna or Buddha or whatever, then I don't think you can state what the absolute truth is, personally. And I think different people have different experiences of this journey as well, and I think the way the masculine part of the soul and the way the feminine part of the soul experience this sort of process of ascension or integration or evolution can be quite different. Like the way the feminine experiences it compared to the way the masculine experiences it can be quite different. So I think maybe that's where this woman was coming from. Like perhaps the woman that made the comment, or the person that made the comment about experiencing the twin jumping from body to body, may have been the feminine, say, and maybe this reader has been the masculine part of the soul and has experienced this journey quite differently. But I just felt compelled to speak on this because my journey has been that I have experienced it in quote-unquote different bodies. But I also do agree ultimately that you only have one twin. And these different bodies have been aspects or fragments of the one. and are like have been sort of unifying as I've been unifying, or that they've come in to reflect or mirror out something for me, or me for them, ultimately equally. In order, like, it's almost like on the path back home, it's like they've come in to teach me something, or I've been there to teach them something, or there's been something that has had to be done with that particular aspect. But they've all been, like, I've experienced them, even although they've said their names are different, or they've been from different parts of the world, or that I've experienced the depth of connection on an equal level, and felt that twin flame union in that particular moment with that aspect. So yeah, I hope that's not too confusing. If you want any clarification or have any questions, just leave a comment at the end of this video. And if you like what I share, please like and subscribe, click the little bell for notifications when I release a new video, and I'll be back soon with something else. Have a nice day.